Yo fellas, this is B Junior from Endurance Productions YouTube channel here on B Junior's Movie Cave. Gonna do a little movie reviewage for you tonight. That's right, we're gonna review some old school horror this evening about vampires. That's right, I know everybody nowadays is all gushy about Twilight and Vampire Diaries, True Blood, you name it, all these new vampire shows. But we're gonna go a little old school tonight. We're gonna talk about an old Hammer classic, or a Hammer vampire classic. I'll just say it that way. It's not one of the run-of-the-mill Hammer films of, the 60s era or whatnot, but this is an early 70s, one of the last Hammer productions that came out. I am, of course, referring to Vampire Circus. That's right. I have here the Blu-ray DVD combo pack. This is probably the best way to own this movie if you're in the market to buy Vampire Circus. It's the best quality, best special features, all in one nifty little pack. This Blu-ray DVD combo pack is provided for review by the wonderful folks at Synapse Films. Highly recommend going over to their website. It'll be in the link below. Go check it out. Pick you up a copy. You can pick these up at a lot of the local stores. FYE stores have them. Check it out. Basically, let me tell you the reasons why you should check this movie out. Mainly because I remember seeing this one growing up, guys. This is one from my youth that I rented at the local video store, an old VHS copy of it. And the funny thing is, it's been decades since I was able to get this movie again and watch it, because either the local video stores never have it, or it's not been re-released, or it went out of print, whatever the case may be. Finally, it's like the road just came full circle. I got to watch Vampire Circus once again. And I gotta say, Blu-ray is the way to go with this one, guys. Mainly because, and you know how it is, a lot of the older films, they didn't have the big budgets, or didn't have the technology as well. They're gonna look better than they ever have on Blu-ray. This is one of those you want to buy for the visuals that are in the movie, especially during the second and third act of the film. Let me kind of go over a rundown on the story here, guys, and then we'll get more into the special features and gush about that in a little while. This is really a great little, I'm going to call it a classic in and around the subgenre of vampire films. It's not a real well-known one, not a lot of people talk about it, but it's just one of those that has has a little bit of everything going on in it, and that's what I look for in a good movie, and it's got great rewatchability. I'll just say that kind of going into it. The story centers around, let me just say first, the first 12 minutes of the movie, it's sort of like a little mini movie all to itself. It's kind of your stereotypical or kind of vampire flick. You've actually got a vampire called the Count, and he lives in a castle, and I think it's a small Austrian village. I could be mistaken, but I believe that's where it's at. And it's kind of a period piece. It's around the 1800s era, and a lady and her daughter are off walking around the woods. They wander into the castle and get kind of taken under the spell of the Count, the main vampire there that's kind of head of the village. Well, like I say, during this first opening scenes of the movie, you've got everything that you would expect from an old school vampire movie. You've got the vampire taking advantage of the woman and the child, and then basically, after this is done, the villagers revolt, and complete with torches and everything else, they go up to slay the vampire, and they do that, and that's what kickstarts the film. But what more importantly, after the cool little credit sequence rolls after the opening scenes there, that's when the movie really takes off, during that first of the second act, when the circus comes to town. What you learn is, from that point on, it's not your typical Hammer Productions vampire movie with hissing with fangs and everything. Basically, a circus comes to town, but the circus is populated by shape-shifting vampires. And what I mean by that is, you've got a lot of different vampires in this circus troupe that take on the form of animals, and just all kinds of different, just odd behavior going on there. There's kill scenes, there's good practical blood effects, things of that nature. A lot of great special effects that you wouldn't expect of an early 70s film of this nature. I mean, you've got a vampire that's a panther that changes into a black panther. There is a tiger vampire lady. There's a gypsy ringleader. There's a strongman. Now, the strongman I don't believe is a vampire, but what's notable about the strongman in the circus, I believe he's not depicted on the front cover here, but he's played by he's kind of like an English actor slash stuntman by the name of David Prowse. If you've been in and around this genre or even science fiction genre, you know who David Prowse is. He's basically most famous for his being the body of Darth Vader in the original set of Star Wars films. But he's done a number of different films, either acting in films or being a presence or a stuntman of some sort. He's been in and around films for decades. Also, it's got a couple of acrobatic vampires that are kind of like acrobats, but they change into bats. So there's all kinds of cool, vampire stuff going on. But what else is very notable about the story from that point when the circus comes to town, it takes on this odd kind of feeling, much like the original Wicker Man movie did with Christopher Lee back in the early 70s as well, where you're just kind of sitting there going, okay, did I just see what I think I saw there? Or what in the world's going on here? You have a lot of those what the heck was that kind of moments, but it's cool, and it makes sure you think about what you just saw as far as in terms of visuals, and it's best enjoyed on the Blu-ray version of this. I watched both. I watched the Blu-ray and the standard def copy, but I would definitely pop the Blu-ray in because the resolution's higher. It's just a lot more detail in there. The colorful kind of pseudo psychedelic quality of some of the visuals really pops off the screen. Getting back to the story though, after the main count vampire has been slayed and the credits roll, then you see the circus come to town. Before the count died, he cursed the village basically and said it was going to be beset by plague and all this stuff. Well, when the circus comes to town, it finds the Austrian village. It picks up about 15 years down the line after some of the notable lynch mob people have had children and built their families. What you find is that the village itself is under a plague. Guess who cursed the village? It's fallen under plague. People are dying left and right, and basically the circus comes to town in an effort to, on the surface anyway, to bring some enjoyment to the lives of all these people that have lost all their loved ones and stuff of that nature. But their ulterior motive, and what really kickstarts the story beyond that point, is that they're really trying to gather lives. All the vampires are taking advantage of the children and people of the village to gain, I guess, like what you would call it, life essence that they can transfer to the body of the count who's still buried underneath the castle after they burned it. They're trying to resurrect him, basically, is what they're trying to do. I'll stop there as far as the story. I don't want to ruin it past that. I don't ever try to give away the third act if I can, because I want you to really try to enjoy this one. So if you're down with vampire flicks, especially classic vampire flicks, I don't think you'll be sorry with Vampire Circus because, like I said, for its age and everything, it's got great practical special effects, great stunning visuals. Highly recommend. This movie's been released on VHS to my knowledge, Laserdisc. I'm not too familiar with how many times or if any if it's been released on a separate DVD before, but I do know this is the best way. I highly recommend picking this up if you're a Vampire Circus fan or if you're just a vampire film fanatic. You won't be sorry. Otherwise, if you're just a casual horror fan, I would say give it a rental first if you can find a rental of this somewhere. But overall, the story is sound. It's just one of those little gems that isn't talked about that much in or around the vampire genre. I'd highly recommend it. Let's get into the special features, guys, and we'll go over the picture quality and sound quality here shortly. Blood-curdling bonus features include, as it's called here on the back of the sleeve, The Bloodiest Show on Earth, Making Vampire Circus documentary, which is excellent. It's the type of documentary you really want to hear. Talking about its inception idea of the movie on into the getting it into the theaters kind of stories. Gallery of Grotesqueries, A Brief History of Circus Horrors featurette. That was kind of a filler featurette. Basically, it gives a lot of visuals from different circus performers and what to expect in circuses of that time and feel. Visiting the House of Hammer, Britain's legendary horror magazine featurette. I found that very interesting because I've always been a Tales from the Crypt fan from back in the day and horror movie magazine fan, like all the magazines and stuff. So it was really nice to kind of see a little more information about House of Hammer. I've heard of it, but of course myself being an American, I don't have any issues of it, and I've always wanted to learn more about it. It also has a Vampire Circus motion comic book. That's not really my thing, but check it out if you like those type of things. still and poster gallery, which I found enjoyable, and the original theatrical trailer, which is pretty cool because I like vintage trailers every once in a while. The Blu-ray Specs, high definition, 1080p, widescreen, 1:6:1, which is an older ratio format, but it will fit your widescreen TV really nicely. You won't notice a difference. This is an AVC codec encoding. Picture quality on Blu-ray, I would say at least a 7 out of 10. It's a really great transfer. I can't say, or probably about an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed the transfer on it. Maybe I was just caught up in the moment, but I really thought it was a clean transfer for its age and its the time involved that it's been out. Sadly, it's only a DTS. It does have an audio DTS HD. It has an English 2.0 mono. But that's the only audio tracks that it has on it. The DVD, standard DVD specifications, still anamorphic widescreen, 1:6:1 ratio. Has the same special features on the DVD that it does on the Blu-ray as well, so can't go wrong with that, guys. And as I've always said, if you're trying to save some money, I highly understand that. Myself being a big used and previously viewed fan. If you and a buddy want to pick this up, if you have a buddy that hasn't went high def yet, pick up the pack, guys, and split the discs up if you want to, split the cost. I think right now this one's going anywhere from about $22 to $30. I would try to get it maybe on Amazon. You probably get you a good deal on Amazon or even eBay at this point because it's been out for a little while on the market. Guys, overall, this is sound quality on the movie. It was pretty clean. It's one of those soundtracks where you have to realize the music score for those type of movies back then was a lot of orchestral timpani and all that kind of stuff. So just know that there's going to be some dun dun dun. There's going to be some vibrato in those music chords. So crank your surround sound up. Have a good time. I don't think you'll be sorry because, like I said, if you like movies like The Wicker Man, if you're not really primarily a vampire fan, if you like movies like The Wicker Man that have those little odd qualities to them, things like that, that's what really Vampire Circus is. It starts out like your typical vampire movie, but it really, after the credits roll, it really takes form. And I like the whole idea of the shape-shifting vampires, and it's just been one of those that I've always wanted to really revisit, and I'm so happy to have it now. So go out, check out Synapse Films, Amazon, pick you up a copy. I highly recommend it, especially if you're a vampire or horror fan. I've gushed enough about it, guys. There you have it. Blu-ray DVD combo format. Vampire Circus, directed by Robert Young, 1972. Rock on, dudes. I'll catch you next time.